Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We have some very interesting stuff to talk about today in regards to some potential ship page links spotted for some ships that could be coming at IAE as well as CitizenCon Direct next month. There's some indications as to a little bit of a confirmation of a ship that I already thought was going to be coming at CitizenCon, as well as some new information on some other new ships. So we're going to talk about that. There's some very interesting stuff to discuss as part of this. So we're going to go through all that, talk about the potential ships that we could be getting here. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. So let's first briefly touch on how this information was found. So this was some information that I saw highlighted in one of the leaks discords that apparently someone else had kind of gone through and sifted through a bunch of possible link names or numbers for different comlink pages on the Star Citizen website. And what they found is by putting in a certain, like a number of a page, it would auto regenerate the rest of the link's text. So they found basically some titles for some unpublished pages for potential upcoming ships. So for example, they found one for the Anvil Paladin. They found one for a ship called the Esperia Stinger, and then something called the Gray's Market Shiv. Very, very interesting. An interesting name there. We're gonna talk about that a bit, as well as everything else, of course. They also found a page in regards to the RSA Perseus, but that is in preparation for IAE, which is what we've expected that ship to come out at. So, but these other things sound like it's going to be CitizenCon related ship pages. So 3 potential things, it sounds like, for CitizenCon. So let's go ahead and let's dive a little bit deeper into these different ships, what they potentially will be, and all the information that we know on these, and potential information or pointers that could be hinting at things related to these ships. First, let's briefly talk about the Anvil Paladin. Now, this is a very recently put out for concept sale ship, so a lot of you are probably fairly familiar with it, but I thought I'd just quickly run over some of the specifications we know on it, and then I will point out actually one change that I've already noticed from the concept images to the teaser we got in the monthly report. So, in terms of basic specs, you're looking at a length of 53 meters, a width of 38.5, and a height of 14.5 when landed. You have a crew size of 4, although they did confirm that the pilot will get control of the dual remote turrets, the size 4 remote turrets that are on the sides of the ship, and then you could have someone manning the quad size 5 turret, the primary armament of the ship. So, assuming you don't need an engineer or anything, technically you could only have 2 people on the ship and have access to the full weapon capability. So we'll have to see if they end up changing that or anything like that. But that's some basic information. You've also got a single size 3 shield generator that'll give you pretty good shield HP. You got 2 size 2 coolers, 2 size 2 power plants, size 2 quantum drive. Very much expected for a ship of this size and its role as a gunship. So now let's get into some more of the layout stuff. We'll go over that very quickly, and I'll also point out what change I have already noticed and maybe some other minor changes we could see to the ship before it comes to the verse. So first here is a look at the internals of the ship. This is the lower deck, one of 2 decks. You can see you have your entrance. You come up into that labeled number 8 room, which is going to be kind of your armory. You got some suit lockers and stuff. Then you have your access to the upper deck, that staircase on number 9, and that 7 points you to the seat where technically you would have the gunners that would operate those dual size 4 remote turrets. But again, apparently those will be able to be pilot controlled. So unless you really want to be able to fire backwards or have other firing arcs, you won't really need to have those positions filled. So that is the lower deck. Then we also have the upper deck. We can see here that number 4 is going to be your pilot and co-pilot seat. 5 is going to be your crew habitation. This is one of the areas that I think has changed. And again, I'll point this out in a minute, what I think's been changed around there. And then 6, you of course have the stairs to the lower deck. You can see some other habitation areas and whatnot, a little bathroom, and in the back there is the engineering area as well. They don't have that labeled in this picture, but that is where your main engineering is going to be. Most of your component access is going to be. It's in a pretty central part of the ship. Should be one of the more armored sections as well, so it should be fairly well protected from incoming fire. And then we have a bit of a look at the external side of the ship. So you got that quad size 5 remote turret at the top. Again, that's on a track that can switch from the top to the bottom of the ship. You have the wing-mounted dual size 4 remote turrets. And then you also have the cockpit up there that apparently will also have blast shields, probably sort of like the Carrack has those. So that may give you a little bit of added protection, probably more so when we have like Maelstrom and other armor systems like that, but just a nice little touch that they have there. So now let me point out the difference that I've noticed already that could potentially hint at some changes to the layout for the Paladin. So first, I will show you quickly the teaser image we got from the latest monthly report. This is showing, as far as I can tell, on it's the left side of the ship. What would be a little bit below the frame there would be one of the remote turrets. You have a thruster that's kind of outlined in that red and yellow right there. But the thing that has changed is to the right of that thruster, we can see an escape pod hatch. Now, from the concept images, we do not see any indication anywhere, any note of escape pods anywhere throughout the ship. So it seems like those have been likely added. But the other thing that makes me think some internals have changed with the ship is if we look at the image of the upper deck again, roughly on the spot of the ship where the hatch would be is kind of in this crew habitation area, the number 5 area where those the crew beds are. That is roughly where I can tell that hatch to be. So I wouldn't be surprised if they have kind of reorganized the crew quarters a little bit, maybe to be more condensed all into one room, and then they've added escape pods. It's kind of weird that they'd have an escape pod in the back there when most of the crew is going to be up at the front in all the seats for the pilot, co-pilot, and the gunners and whatnot. So maybe they've adjusted where the crew will be. Maybe they've added a crew member. You never know. But it's a very interesting change that I just noticed recently, and I was like, oh, well, that's not there in the concept images. So there might have been some slight changes to the internal layout. I don't think they completely overdid anything, but I'm sure there's been a few little changes. So we'll see for sure once we assumedly see this at CitizenCon, because the hints that we've seen seem to indicate that there's a really good chance we see the Anvil Paladin coming up in just a couple weeks now for CitizenCon Direct. So now let's move on to the next ship, and this one and the next thing after that are going to be are quite a bit more interesting, because it's something that we haven't really heard before. So this is one of the other links that was found, supposedly linked to a page that was titled for the Esperia Stinger, which the Stinger does exist. It's actually one of the Vanduul ships that we saw in the Squadron 42 demo. It's kind of a heavy fighter, like a sort of like a Vanguard series equivalent, I think you could say, for the Vanduul. So this could be hinting at a potential like Esperia version of that. You know, not the full Vanduul version. There's also a slight chance this could be on the new referral ladder. There's a ship at the 200 referral step that is not revealed, and they said it'll be revealed at CitizenCon, so it could be that. But first, let's just go over briefly what we know about the Stinger itself, the Vanduul Stinger, and then we can talk a little bit about what we could see as far as this ship, what it could be, and if this will be just, you know, straight to flyable, you can buy it or whatever, or if it'll be locked behind that referral number gate. So again, we don't actually have a whole lot of information on this ship. Mostly the information we have is going to be taken from the, you know, visuals that we've seen of it. I know that there were some that were shown several years ago, but I'm going to go off of the most recent images that we have of it from, again, the Squadron 42 CitizenCon demo from last year. So the one you should be seeing on your screen here kind of gives you a decent look at the overall shape of the ship. We can also see what appears to be some of the weapons on it. So what looks to be 4 quite large weapons that definitely look to be bespoke. I don't know if they're cannons or repeaters or what they are, but this is a heavy fighter. It's got some pretty big weapons. In another image that I have here, we get a little bit different look at the ship. You can see a little bit more of it. Up at the top, there is what appears to be a small turret. So again, similar to kind of what the Vanguard has. So that would make me think this maybe is a two-person ship, although when we see it in Squadron, it seems like there's only one person flying it. So we'll have to see for sure. Maybe that turret's pilot controlled as well, so you get a bunch of guns like you have on the F8 or whatnot. But that is basically all we know about the Vanduul Stinger. Not much more than that. So again, I could see us getting an Esperia version of the Stinger. We have the Esperia Blade, which is, you know, kind of a human knockoff version of the Vanduul Blade. You can buy that in game right now. So we did also get earlier this year, we got the Esperia Prowler Utility, another new ship from them, a variant of the base Prowler, which is a Devarin ship. So this company, they basically just, you know, make cheap knockoffs of all the alien ships, I guess you could say, but make it a little bit more usable for humans. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do something like that. It definitely is a bit odd that they'd release yet another ship that, you know, right now has only been seen in Squadron, but they've also done that with some other ships like the F8 they released. They put out, I mean, the Idris was already around, but they said that wasn't coming out till Squadron, but then they released it. And there's other things and whatnot that we've seen, like the F7, the F7A. So we'll have to see for sure what happens, but I could see them doing this. I think if they're going to sell a Stinger like this, it's heavy fighter, you have the alien tax, it's probably going to be a very, very expensive ship, but it could be pretty cool. And they did hint in the Star Citizen live from a couple weeks ago that there was another ship with a bespoke weapon or bespoke weapons coming at CitizenCon. And the Paladin doesn't have any that we know of, so this could be that, because the guns, again, in those pictures that I showed, they definitely look like bespoke Vanduul guns, kind of similar to what the other Vanduul ships have, just bigger. So we will have to see for sure, but let me know what you think on that down in the comments. Do you think that CIG would put out kind of a human-made version of the Vanduul Stinger, or do you think maybe they lock it behind that referral ladder amount of the 200 referrals? Let me know what you think down in the comments. So then we get to the other big thing for potentially CitizenCon, which is the most confusing link name of the bunch. This is, the link name is Gray's Market Shiv, which, you know, at first, you know, when you first read that, you're like, oh, a sheave, like, you know, the prison sheave, like a knife or something. But it's like, I don't think they would make a whole sales page like this for, you know, a knife. So there's some different options that I've thought of for potentially what this could be talking about. One is, if you remember from last year's CitizenCon when they showed the silhouette video, there was a weird looking ship, really weird looking ship that at first I thought was Drake. Looked like some of the design language of like the wings kind of looked like the Corsair's wings. The central area kind of looked like the command module of the Caterpillar or something like that. So I was like, yeah, it might be some weird kit bash of some other Drake things to make something. But I think there definitely is a discussion to be had on whether this could be what they're talking about here, of this Gray's Market Sheave. Maybe this is like not necessarily a new manufacturer, but maybe like some new character in the game or something like that that takes parts of existing ships and, you know, duct tapes them together to make something new. And it's kind of like a jalopy ship like Jared wants. I'm not entirely sure, but that's one idea so far that I've had for potentially what this could be referring to. I also want to point out something that makes me think this could be potentially something for, like, again, a new ship seller or something, because there was actually a line in the July monthly report in the narrative section that says, also, the team began filling in additional details for an upcoming location, honing specifics to help further guide art and design as they populate it with locations and gameplay. They also crafted lore for a new ship seller, who the narrative team hopes will be a fun addition to the verse. You know, what would be more fun than some, you know, random ship dealer guy that's out on like some junkyard or something, and he'll sell you the Gray's Market Shiv, which is some weird kit bash of, you know, something. You know, and you could see some other ships from that that manufacturer, not manufacturer, but I don't know what you'd call them. Maybe a manufacturer, but I think there's definitely a case to be made that they could be working on something like that. Sounds like, though, if they're going to have a sales page for it, you still would be able to, like, pledge for it. Maybe they'd let you buy it in-game immediately when this new location comes into the game as well, potentially. New ship seller location. You never even know. Maybe it's a ship seller for Nyx, and they're, you know, going to have Nyx in the game by the end of the year. I have no idea. But, you know, just a lot of thoughts running around in my head that I thought I'd kind of just throw out at all of you, and then you can you can let me know in the comments if I'm going crazy, if I'm getting too high on the copium. So, but that's some thoughts that I have on potentially what this Gray's Market Shiv thing could be. And then last of all, again, they pointed out that there is also a link in the style being prepared for the RSI Perseus, but in regards to IAE, again, there's been lots of information that we've heard from some like devs at Bar Citizens and stuff over the last few months that the Perseus is coming at IAE. It's probably going to have some upgrades and stuff done to it. Size 8s, the size 7's going to size 8s on the main guns. Potentially some PDCs being added and some other potential changes that we could see for the Perseus. So not much, you know, like new there to discuss. But I am very excited to see all of these ships coming in the very near future, and I'm sure they have some more unannounced things that'll be coming alongside them as well. Probably another ground vehicle, maybe some other surprises. So we'll have to see for sure if these end up turning out to be what they are. But I thought I'd let you all know and kind of just do a little bit of a theory crafting, I guess, on potentially what some of these could be. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, as it very much helps the channel. If you'd like to see some more Star Citizen news videos, definitely subscribe as well. We are expecting a roadmap update tomorrow where they said that there will be some lots of updates for the next patch, 4.3.2, which we have not really heard anything on so far. So this will be our first big dump of what this patch will be. I'm assuming 4.3.2 will be the CitizenCon patch. So I don't know if we need to expect like really that much to happen, because again, they're getting CitizenCon ready and all that sort of stuff, but there may be some interesting surprises in there. So I'll definitely be letting y'all know what happens with that. But again, if you want to see those updates, feel free to subscribe. Leave a comment down below on anything that you have any thoughts on for what we talked about in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in the verse.